every couple of months I get asked about the difference between facilitating and teaching. And I feel like the difference is so subtle that a lot of the time they get grouped together and just kind of assume that they are the same thing. But I wanted to just, I suppose, clarify my listening and my experience to, yeah, just define a little the difference between facilitating and teaching. And the reason I want to do this is because, in these times, it becomes increasingly important for us to attune to our developmental stage, our individual developmental stage, um, because what we're breathing life into and what we're expanding and what we're growing is actually directly equal to the quality of what we're creating in the world, the quality of what we're giving life to in the world. And for me and for anyone, I think, who has a great love for our human family and for the earth and a real commitment to going to a place that we've never been before, kind of dreaming a really embodied human future. It becomes really important to look after what gets dreamed into the world. And I think the human family right now is going through a real time of maturing. There's a real deepening and maturing. That's a theme in our wider tribes in this moment in time. It's definitely been and continues to be a theme in my own life and in my own practice and in my own attunement to what a human is, just in my own beingness, really. So, what's the difference between a teacher and a facilitator? And I'm just, there's no dictionary here. We're not kind of meeting it from that place. But I want to reveal my sensory system's relationship with these things. And my background, for those who haven't followed the whole journey. Once upon a time, I was a classroom teacher, a really kind of passionate classroom teacher that was really good at the social development side of things and not so great the curriculum side of things. Once upon a time, I was an adventure-based learning facilitator, so I'd facilitate journeys, adventures, and was kind of like deeply trained in the art and the craft of adventure facilitation, and working with everything from traumatized teens all the way through to high performance business teams. Yeah, it was a good time. Just kind of reflecting on the joys of it, and the rapids and the mountains, and I really love the journey of unpacking things. But I've also been a coach, mentor, what I'd call myself a leader these last 20 years. Kind of woven through that has been all those trainings and all those different phases of having different roles. And I have trained thousands of facilitators, actually. Myself through my own business and through my own trainings over the last 15 years, and also have gone through kind of master level training with a couple of different what they consider themselves to be the best facilitator training organizations in the world. Don't necessarily know if that's true, but that's how they hold themselves. So that's my background and kind of where it's coming from. I've been a teacher and I've been a facilitator, and I've trained lots of facilitators and have been for quite a while now, these last few years, particularly a teacher of a different kind. So what is the difference? So it's gentle, the difference, but you have to listen to it. A facilitator doesn't need to have any ground. They're very neutral in where they stand. They're more of a space holder and a journey facilitator. So they're kind of facilitating and unfolding, and you don't necessarily know where the unfolding is going to go. So you're facilitating a journey, you're facilitating a change, and most of the time you don't necessarily know where it's going to go. The moment you know where it's going to go, you begin to enter into the teaching realms. So it's, the lines between them are quite blurred, but these are the distinctions. The moment you know where it's going to go, you begin to enter into the teaching realms because you have a clear idea or a clear vision of what's needed and where we need to enter into. So it becomes, in some ways, you could think of teaching as a little bit more masculine and facilitating as a little bit more feminine, facilitating as a little bit more open and neutral and full of mystery, and teaching being a lot more of a clear path. And so a teacher has to have embodied wisdom. So not a lot of people who enter into paths that in some ways echo mine, or industries that are in some ways like whatever industry I'm in. They enter into the path, and facilitating is a really good place because it means they don't have to have had much life experience. You can be a really good facilitator without really having much embodied wisdom or much embodied experience to kind of bring forward to point the way. So facilitating isn't leading. Facilitating is a whole different energy. Teaching is leading. Teaching is like a passing on of something that's really clear and defined, and something that you hold as important, something that for you is really vital, actually. So teaching can almost be associated with a bit more growth, a bit more of a grown being, a bit more mastery, because the being, this is ideally, has found some ground that they want to call their human family into, or they want to have found some wisdom that they want to pass on or initiate beings into. So in their highest form, facilitating is a neutral space, and teaching is more of a direct line, more of a direct passing on. So somewhere within all that, just kind of playfully feeling my way through it as I share, you can kind of begin to feel my ground on teaching and facilitating, and you can feel how they overlap and how there's no real entirely clear distinctions between them, but that perhaps that difference between the neutrality of a facilitator and the directional nature of the teaching is the major difference. And when you're teaching and someone's learning with you or from you, they are learning to attune to what you're passing on. Whereas in facilitating, in its kind of pure form, they're attuning. You're facilitating experience or a journey where they're attuning to what's emerging within them. And they both really have their place. And one of the real problems of this age is that the teachers in schools, they're essentially, really they're facilitating. We're calling it teaching, but really they're facilitating because they don't have embodied wisdom for the most part in what they're teaching. Sometimes you get like that, you can almost feel that archetype of the science teacher who is deeply passionate about science and loves that. They're almost a wizard in disguise in some way. And they have a real passion for science, and they have an embodied experience of science. It's a very very visceral thing for them. So when they teach science, there's kind of a magic in the exchange because they're truly passing something on. They're not just facilitating a kind of an organic emergence. And yeah, there's so much to be said on both of these things. In school and in the world right now, there's lots of people who aren't teaching from embodied wisdom, but they're passing on things that is coming from a place that isn't necessarily a place of deep experience, and a place of solid ground, and a place of real deep intimacy with the thing that they're teaching. It's almost like in this information age, there's almost a taking of information or knowledge and a passing on of information or knowledge. and it's kind of a hollow exchange. It's not a sacred passing on that is the highest form of teaching. Yeah, there's not the embodied love in it. It's just like information exchange, which is hollow, and I'd call it sterile and a bit meaningless in some ways. Which is why we have, why I was so disengaged as a high school student. I was being taught by beings who, for the most part, didn't have a embodied relationship with the thing they were teaching, and that made it really uninteresting, because what was being passed on to me was information out of books and off the internet, but not necessarily the embodied experience and then the care of the love of the need of this thing that's being passed on. So it becomes a very transactional exchange rather than a meaningful exchange. Yeah. And then on the other side of things, we have a culture in conscious communities of facilitating, which is like a kind of holding space for natural emergence. But because we don't have law, LORE, or really mature ground in awakened communities, holding space for natural emergence is beautiful and important, necessary, but it's kind of the overactive flavor of the field. Just kind of holding space for this natural emergence without ever kind of the father energy coming in, the father of the law, the father of the direction, the masculine that leads the way, points the way. So a very kind of standoffish, feminine kind of space holding theme in the conscious communities here in the UK and around the world for the most part. And it makes sense because of the nature of culture in these times, and the sterilization of culture in the Western world, and in the labs of beings with skin the color of mine here. Yeah. But with the potentiality, first of all, coming together in facilitated spaces and in facilitated circle and in spaces where natural emergence gets to happen. That's a really good thing. That's like a really good start, and that's here with us right now. So that's a good thing. But over the next 50, 60 years, and moving pretty fast over the next 10 really, we will see the shaky emergence of a more fatherly masculine presence entering into spaces that were once facilitating. This is a natural emergence when people start to grow up and elders start to arrive, and the things that don't work begin to be held point for, and the things that we kind of that do work are held point for as well. Making sense? Are you hearing me here? So the conscious communities, the awakened communities, however you want to kind of language it, it's they are on a journey of not just being open, fluffy, not just fluffy, but like just in devotion to the emergence. There's also a maturity of law, LORE, and ground and history, story, that comes in to infuse the emergence and to guide the emergence. And so really you can kind of feel these two energies, like teaching and elderhood and embodied experience, and then facilitating an organic emergence and the like natural arrival. And so this one is like innocent emergence, and this one is like matured leadership, like what works versus what emerges. And in some ways it's like the teenagers, or the birthing of the teenagers, and the council of the grown ones. These are like different kind of energies. They're kind of playing out in our wider space. So facilitating and teaching are different things, and It's really important to kind of attune to that difference. And if you're starting out with facilitating is a really good general craft. It's almost a master craft. I've called it that a few times, a master craft facilitating, because it allows you to pass on or to hold space for anything. When you become a really good facilitator, you become empowered in all industries. You become empowered in just across the board, because facilitating is such a neutral craft where you don't have to really have an opinion. You can just facilitate things. But teaching, that asks for a particular initiated journey that has an embodied experience within it, so that so that you know and stand for what it is that you're passing on. And so you'll see out there in the world, there'll be facilitator trainings that are really training in neutrality and a feminine space holding. And you'll see that there are initiation journeys that hold space for the more of the masculine side of leadership, the masculine side of educational leadership, the masculine side of transformational developmental leadership. And you just get to kind of choose which of those meet you at this point in time, which of those meet you in this stage of your journey, and whether your life path is to be a neutral being, or whether your life path is to stand powerfully for something and call others there, which has been kind of bastardized a little bit with the overactive patriarchal themes of the last couple of thousand years, and particularly the last couple of decades. There's been kind of a turning up of a fear of really standing for something, and I think the religions do it really well, but they've maybe done it really not really well, but really powerfully. But they haven't necessarily done it really integratedly. And I think there's a fear for people who aren't kind of immersed in religious systems to stand for something, because we've seen the devastation and some of the overactive teaching and overactive kind of undeveloped masculine passing on things that actually harm people. But that's not what deeply embodied teaching is. Deeply embodied teaching is a passing on of that which, through experience, we have learnt is important and works and sustains and deserves to live on with the next generation. So I hope that somewhere within all of that you can get a little little sense of my attunement to the difference between teaching and facilitating. It is murky waters. There is a little crossover, but there's also definitely themes that lives in one that doesn't live in the other. And we can, of course, be a facilitator and a teacher all at once, but there's the same way we can be a masculine and a feminine being all at once, which I am and which you are. But there's definitely different themes that tend to point towards whether our archetypal set point is teacher in this stage of our life, or whether our archetypal set point is facilitator in this stage of our life. And my whispers are that as we begin as facilitator, when we kind of walk this teaching, facilitating, guiding path, we begin as facilitator, or we should begin as facilitator. And then when we have gone through initiation and experience and found ground, then we enter into teacher. And that's like the middle years, like the adult years of life. And then eventually we transition back to a little bit of a combination of both, a little bit more of a combination of both as elder. In the elder years, as elder, we have very clear things that we have to say, and then we also hold a little bit more of a neutrality for the emergence. Yeah, these are kind of like the masculine, feminine dance of teaching and facilitating, and it's been a real wild journey for me over 20 years, playing in this space and learning in this space and being a devoted learner in this space. And I feel like we're only just beginning to realise the true nature of what the facilitating of this age is supposed to be, and we're only just beginning to arrive into a time where there's truly embodied teachers as a bit more of a common thing. Yeah, that's where we're at, I feel. Thanks for your time.